In this lecture, we will learn how we can calculate the inverse Fourier transform of a signal. So we know that the Fourier transform is a lossless transform. It means that if we have a signal in the time domain and we take its Fourier transform to convert the time domain signal into the frequency domain, then we can convert that frequency domain signal back into the time domain. It means we can recover our signal using the inverse Fourier transform. So what will we do in this lecture? We will generate a signal, then we will take the Fourier transform of that signal. And then after taking the Fourier transform, the final step will be to take the inverse Fourier transform, and we will see whether we are successfully recovering our signal or not. So let us start this lecture. First of all, we have to import all the necessary modules into our Python environment. So let us run this cell. And now we are generating a signal. So these are the signal parameters. The sampling rate is 256. And we know that the Nyquist frequency is always half the sampling rate. Now this is a time vector and it is from 0 to 1 second. And the time intervals are 1 over our sampling rate. It means this time vector will have 256 samples from 0 to 1. Now, this is the signal 3 sine 2PFT. So the amplitude of the signal is 3 and 4 is the frequency of the signal. So here we are generating the signal over time. In this section, we have seen many times how we can generate a simple sinusoidal signal. So here we are plotting the signal. So let us run this cell and this cell. So we can see that this is our original signal, and we have generated this signal using magenta squares. Now, the next step will be to take the Fourier transform of this signal. And after that, the final step will be to take the inverse of the Fourier transform so that we can see whether we are successfully recovering this signal or not. So that is the signal we have generated. And this is a simple sinusoidal signal whose amplitude is 3 and whose frequency is 4. And we have generated this signal using magenta squares. Now, the next 2 steps are calculating the Fourier transform using the IFFT algorithm and then calculating the IFFT. Now, using the Fast Fourier Transform, we know that the command is scipy.fft.ft of x. So here, this step is calculating the Fourier transform of our generated signal. And we know that we have denoted this signal by small x. So small x is our original signal and capital X is the Fourier transform of our original signal. Now, the next step is to calculate the inverse Fourier transform of this capital X, which is the Fourier transform of this small x. Now, since we have to find the inverse Fourier transform, therefore we are not going to normalize this. We are not going to perform amplitude correction. And we are not going to convert the indices into the units of frequency or into hertz. So basically, we have just calculated the fast Fourier transform and we have denoted it by capital X. So the next step is the step that you are learning here. This is again a very simple step. Using scipy, we can also calculate the inverse Fourier transform. Now, we have to find the inverse Fourier transform of this capital X. Now you can see the difference. When we take the fast Fourier transform, the code is scipy.fft.fft. And now when we are calculating the inverse Fourier transform, the code is scipy.ft.ifft. So the difference here is that this is the FFT, which is the fast Fourier transform, and this is the inverse FFT. So this is the signal that is called reconstructed X. Now, we have to see whether we have successfully recovered this signal or not after going through the Fourier transform and the inverse Fourier transform. So now what are we doing here? We are plotting again our original signal X and then our reconstructed signal. And we are plotting the real part of the reconstructed signal. The reason is that our original signal is a real valued signal. It does not have any imaginary part. So what happens when we take the Fourier transform and the inverse Fourier transform is that this transformation is a complex valued transform. And in this way, we may get some imaginary part as well. So when we have to recover our original signal after taking the inverse Fourier transform, we have to see the real part of the reconstructed signal. So let us plot this cell and see what the shape of the reconstructed signal is. So we can see that this is our original signal and this is our reconstructed signal, and both signals are overlapping very well with each other. Let us open this in a new window so that we can see them clearly. Now, we can see that the magenta squares were our original signal, and this yellow line is our reconstructed signal after the inverse Fourier transform, and we can see that both signals are exactly the same. Both signals are overlapping with each other right from the start to the end. So, we can see that we have successfully recovered the signal after going through the Fourier transform and the inverse Fourier transform. Hence, we can now clearly say that we have proved that the Fourier transform is a lossless transformation, and during this transform, there is no loss of information, and we can recover our signal back in the time domain.